Just takes a minute here. All right. Well, welcome to another edition of No Guts, No Glory Live, where we hear stories from entrepreneurs and influencers who had the guts to go out and find a more fulfilling career. I am your host, Patty Zor, and joining me today is Sommelier and owner of What's Wine Is Yours, Lauren Maines. Welcome, Lauren, to No Guts, No Glory Live.
Thank you so much, Patty, and thank you for including me on this. I had a chance to go through and watch so many of your videos, and I'm really humbled that you would ask me to be included in this because there are people with amazing stories. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Well, I got to hear a little bit of your story. So I met Lauren back in December. I live in Colorado and my family is all out of state. And I waited until the last minute to ship them their holiday gifts. And so I had seen Lauren pop up in my news feed and thought, okay, I'm gonna check her out. I'm gonna go to your website. I'm gonna see what you do. My family loves wine. I mean, we all love wine. We're Italian. And I thought that'll be a fun gift to send. But what was really neat about the experience of working with you is you really personalize it. And it was so much more than I thought it was, because I thought, okay, we're going to order a couple of bottled wines and I'm going to ship them to my family and that'll be it. And it was way more than that. And it was completely customized and personalized. And I don't want to give too much away, but it made it so much more special as the gift giver. And I couldn't wait for everybody to get their gifts and to get the special letter that you send with the gifts. And so it was one of those, I was like anxiously waiting for someone to say like, oh my gosh. And they were so thrilled. And what was great is they all got together for the holidays since they all live close to each other. And everybody was like bragging about their gifts and their wine and what it pairs with. And so they were all like, oh man, like maybe I want to try that one. So it was fun that they got to have some really great conversations around the gift and then thought about me in the meantime, right?
Oh my gosh, you have no idea how much you just warmed my heart, because I mean, honestly, that's why I do what I do. And so what you just said is like the perfect testimonial for exactly what I want to put out to the world. So thank you.
Oh, good. Well, we will just we'll copy that, and I know I owe you a testimonial too. I know that is on my list to do, so I will get that over to you for sure.
Whenever you have.
For everybody who's watching, please start a watch party. We want to get this message out to all those who need to hear it. We know so many of you are thinking about making a change in your career and doing something different. It's scary. It definitely takes guts to do it. And so I can't wait, Lauren, to get into your story today and really hear more about your idea to start What's Wine Is Yours. You know, what was the idea behind it? How did you decide to start this business?
Oh, sure. Well, I'm so excited to tell you about this. Well, first of all, anytime anyone is making a different transition in life or redirecting their life, whether it be career, education, it could be a relationship, or even just like your way of thinking about things, it takes guts. It really does, because you're venturing outside of your comfort zone. And when you do that, you grow, and it can be hard, but it could be so rewarding. And my background is sports medicine and healthcare administration, right? And I joke that healthcare drove me to drink, and it kind of did because it led me here. And so, I worked in the hospital setting. I worked for, some medical PR and marketing. And in hindsight, what I realized is that whenever I made a career move or an educational move, it was always because it was the natural progression. It was the natural, logical progression. And, I just wasn't being fulfilled. Like it just wasn't in me. I didn't have that spark. And, it was frustrating. And it got to the point where, I'm a wife and I'm a mom, and that's first and foremost, my passion. When our son was born, I remember I was really struggling to figure out what I could give to the world, how I can add to the world with, my own personality and my own flair. And we were at dinner one night with some very good friends. And, you know, we were just talking over these things and, you know, some of my feelings. And my dear friend said, Lauren, you know, it'll happen, but you have to let it happen organically. And as soon as she said that, we left the restaurant and I just transformed my way of thinking about things. You know, I was really trying to really push myself to figure out what that spark was. And so instead of giving up on that, I just switched my way of thinking. You know, what really is it? I was trying to be more conscious, more intentional about what really sparked my happiness, what sparked joy in my life, right?
Yeah.
And I found it at the bottom of a wine glass. You know, I've always been intrigued with wine. I've always loved entertaining. I always like to push things to the next level when it has to do with entertaining and just making memories and events. And so I just started doing a lot of reading and a lot of research, and I went back to school. I started taking classes at the International Wine Guild that's here out in Denver, just progressing through my education. Long story short, I earned my Sommelier certification, and I will always be in school pretty much probably the rest of my life. I'm a WSET diploma candidate right now. My end goal in terms of education is to become a master of wine. And right now there's only about 450 in the world. And so I'm hoping to add to that someday. So that's how I kind of just got thrown into the wine world. In terms of What's Wine is Yours, it really started on a blank slate. I was actually helping create a fundraiser. We were doing an event at a local club here. And just randomly, I asked the events director, I said, you know, I just, you know, earned my sommelier certification. Do you ever work with any somms for any of your wine events? And I just threw it out there to her. And she said, no, but I want to do these wine tastings on this boat that we have. And I don't know who will do it. I was like, okay. And so I literally, in about a week, put together a business plan, presented it to her, and poof, these Sunset Soiree wine tastings were born.
Gosh.
Yes, and it was so much fun. We did a French theme the first year. We traveled through the different regions of France, and it was on a boat at sunset. And you know, over the course of the years, that really kickstarted What's Wine is Yours, but I've created it into a very a niche market in the fact that I do completely customized and unique tasting events that focus on wine appreciation, not knowledge, appreciation, right? So, you know, wine, one of my pet peeves, you know, wine shouldn't be scary. It shouldn't be intimidating. And above all, it should never be snobbish. You know, wine is juice from a grape, right?
Yes.
And so, you know, in my events, I talk about history. I share stories and make that connection to the wine so that it creates memories. You know, when you create a memory with something, you can pull on that, you know, in the future, because memories are these, you know, millions of little impressions in our brain, you know, that connect our past to our present. And wine is such an amazing tool that you can use to create memories.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So it's like being present with the wine that you're drinking, right? It's sort of where it all started in the beginning. I love that.
It's so true. I mean, think about it. I mean, maybe you popped open a bottle of Prosecco with a girlfriend, you know, one evening, and you just talked about, you know, what's going on in your life, what your kids' lives, your job, like, and you're going to remember that, you know, and wine just has that amazing ability to bring people together.
It really does feel more experiential, I would say, you know, drinking wine and what we're going to pair it with tonight, or, you know, depending on what I'm eating, depends on what color of wine I'm going to have, right? Or
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, food and wine pairing. I think that's probably one of the most divine experiences of anyone's life. I mean, I could go on for hours and hours, and I have, about food and wine pairing. Oh my gosh, if you have the right one, it'll change your life. Oh
So
my
you had a love for wine, decided just to go in and learn more about it, and eventually became even more passionate about what you were learning about wine. And then it just sort of all evolved. I mean, what an interesting story it is. If anything, as I get older, I really learn the importance of really just becoming a life student. Always be learning, always learn something new. And that's really interesting. Even if you're not sure, maybe it's like, oh, I need to learn copywriting because it's going to make me, better at my job. But perhaps maybe take a different angle and think about, what is something I really love to do? Do I love taking pictures, or do I love painting? And maybe take a class that's seems more like a hobby, but you never know. It might spark an idea or a business in this case. Oh
It's
my gosh.
so true. And you make a good point. Because I think for the longest time, I was also an athlete for my whole life. And, if you think about, not just athletics, but, we're always so goal oriented, right? So a lot of times we set the goal and then we'll work backwards. What do I need to do to achieve this goal? So if I want to get here, I have to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. But what I've really kept, I really honored this, is that I don't want to necessarily set an end goal for my business, because I want to keep it evolving, but I know I love doing A, B, C, X, Y, Z and everything in between. And as I do that, like you were just saying, if it sparks an interest, it could evolve into another business. In my case, another aspect of my business. I mean, I also do sabrage, where I'm trained in the art of slicing off the top of champagne bottles with a sword, and that started, I did it for friends, and because it was fun. And they're like, we've never seen this. What? Oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden it just exploded, so you never know where it'll take you.
So I have to know about the sword. Is it a very special sword? Can you do it with any sword? Tell me more about the sword. Oh my God. Okay.
It's right here. I should have brought it. I should have had it. This is my champagne saber.
Oh, a saber. Okay. I should know this. I have boys, right? I should know the difference.
It's okay. So the art of sabrage is somewhat unknown. The actual history is somewhat unknown. However, historians believe it could be traced back to the days of Napoleon. So legend has it, when Napoleon and his cavalry of soldiers on horseback would return home from a battle, the townspeople would toss the soldiers bottles of champagne. As you can imagine, it's pretty difficult to open up a bottle of champagne while riding a horse. And so, the legend has it, the soldiers would catch the bottle in one hand, draw their sword with the other, slice off the top, and enjoy their champagne while riding home.
Oh gosh.
Right?
I can't even imagine drinking champagne on a horse.
So, I mean, since then, sabrage has just become a symbol of drama and elegance, and it's a thing of beauty, and it's a very ritualistic, ceremony, because it's connecting the past to the present, and just creating something fun and enjoyable.
Now, would you be willing to share maybe any mistakes you made along the way, right? It's getting into something new. We're learning as we're going a lot of times, right? Were there any mistakes you made, or perhaps maybe something you might have done differently if you could go back in time and do this all over again?
Oh, absolutely. Whenever I feel stuck with something, if it's in terms of growth, or even launching something, or like you said, anytime there's a mistake made, I always start comparing myself to others.
Oh,
And that is one of the hardest things that I battle with, because I always have to remember, this is my journey. What I bring to the table for a client, or to whomever, is completely unique to everyone else in this world. People might have more education, they might have less education, they might have different offerings. But whenever I start comparing myself, that's when I get stuck. That's when I feel I almost like regress in my growth, if that makes sense. And so I think the biggest mistake that I make is getting bogged down with comparisons.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, and so I feel that's when I get the most resistance in growth. I feel like that's when I self-doubt myself, self-doubt myself. That was an awkward way of saying it. So I feel if I could just stay true to who I am and why I'm doing this, once I do that, everything is it's easier. And I don't want to say opportunities present themselves, but they kind of do. It's almost like you're manifesting who you want to work with, And so I think, yeah, I think that's the best advice I can give, but also learning from the mistakes that I've made. I also made a really big mistake doing a sabrage one time, which I will never do ever again because I was showboating for my family. My family was here and I did not do what I was supposed to. I did not respect the sword and it was not good, but that was only one time and it will never happen again.
Hey, as long as we learn from our mistakes, right? That's really the important lesson there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So, would you have any advice for our viewers who are watching, who are maybe thinking about taking a leap from the corporate world into entrepreneurship? I did the same thing. I was in the corporate world for 20 years, and it was scary. It definitely took guts, right? Because it was safe. You have all these great benefits that come along, especially when you're with a business for more than 10 years. And so here you're moving away from something that's pretty secure. I had no idea, right? There was going to be a pandemic in 2 years.
Right.
And I always tell the audience, like, I still would do it all over again if I had to, because I am just so much more fulfilled now, more than I've ever been. And it took a chance, right? I had to take a risk and work really hard and work some crazy hours and make lots of mistakes along the way, but still, it's still rewarding to this day. And the sky really is the limit. And like you said, still continuing to be a lifelong learner. So yeah, any advice you have for those thinking about going out and starting a business or following their passion? Maybe they have a hobby and they've always thought about turning it into a career.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Well, there's so many pieces that I could just piggyback on from what you were saying. And you have to have a passion for it, because if it doesn't fuel passion, that quote, if you find your passion, you'll never have to work a day in your life. It is so true. You see it, I see it. I mean, I crave being in my office and working. I'm like I said, I'm a mom and a wife first, and I do that, but I crave being able to be in here and just doing what I love. So first and foremost, you have to love that. If you don't love it, it'll be hard. Number two, like I said, always keep learning, because like you said, like wine, there's always something to learn about wine, but there's also so many different elements with what I do. For example, with the pandemic, my business was decimated. I couldn't do in-person tastings, so I started selling, a portfolio of wine, creating wine clubs. And that's how I met you, which makes me really happy. So, also picking up back on that is having the ability to pivot, and being open to change, and, being willing to accept, adversity. Oh my goodness, I can't even talk. Just having that ability to change. Something else. Finding that niche market is really important. Being able to differentiate yourself from anyone else. It could be in the smallest way, but if you can differentiate yourself, do that. Find that little bit, and you can broaden your horizons, with that. But if you can just make, something, just a little tweak to your education, just a little tweak to your offering that could be completely different than anyone else. I think that's one of the biggest things, especially today.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point about differentiating, and a really good example of that, years ago, there was the Atkins diet, right? This was the no carb diet.
Yeah.
Well, next, what happened after Atkins was the South Beach diet, right? Everybody was doing the South Beach diet. There were politicians doing the South Beach diet. It was like the hottest thing. They were both really just no carb. Well, what's really big now, I think, is paleo. Is that what's really good? Well,
Yep.
it's paleo. It's no carb. Like, so
Right.
people are really taking the same diet, which is essentially eliminating carbs, putting a slightly different spin on it, and then going out and remarketing it with, their branding and packaging and their special spin that differentiates them from everyone else. But it's interesting just watching that happen of like, wait, I know what this diet is. Because, you hear like, well, what's paleo? What are you doing different? Oh yeah, you're basically eliminating carbs. Isn't that Atkins?
Right, right. And look how successful, and they get a different, demographic of people. They pull from, every different angle, and it's successful.
Yeah. And essentially, when you just look at what it is, it's really the same thing. So, yeah, I think for anyone watching, don't ever be afraid if somebody else is doing it. Just put your own spin on it, right?
Exactly, exactly. And like I said, going back to, I don't want to be comparing myself to what other people are doing. I think I just posted on my social media. It was something to the effect of, it's your story, hit them with a plot twist whenever you want. If you need to change things up, if you want to offer something new, if you want to change, do it, and change is good.
Oh yeah, change is good. Don't be afraid of change.
Yeah. So
I think it's really an opportunity is how I see it.
most definitely, most definitely.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about something special you're doing. So for everyone watching, to find Lauren, you can find whatswineisyours.net online. So you can get all kinds of information there. She's also on Instagram, What's Wine Is Yours. And I'm seeing that you're doing something that looks like a ton of fun. And it is a celebrity wine tasting. And I would love to hear more about what that is.
Yes. So, it kind of, what I'm talking about, hitting with a plot twist every so often. This is kind of what I did. So, quite a few years, about 2 years ago, I started doing something called Happy Champagne Friday. And I would pop open a bottle of champagne or sparkling wine. It's not every Friday. I'd probably say average 2 to 3 times a month. And I would just talk about it and talk about the story behind it and the flavors and where to buy it. And it became a huge hit. I remember going to get my hair cut about a year and a half ago, and someone said, "Happy Champagne Friday, Lauren." And I was like, yes, that's exciting. And so I wanted to offer something new. And there's so many celebrities that are either investing in wineries, actually doing a lot of the work in the vineyards or the winery, some that, just pop their names on them, whatever it will be. There's a lot of fun name recognition. And some people love celebrity wines. Some people hate them. Like I say, some people love to hate them, and then some people hate that they love them, So there's so many different opinions, but whatever it is, it's fun. And so I started off my first video, and I featured the Sarah Jessica Parker Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. And it's a fantastic wine. You can pop onto my Instagram TV and you can see the video. They're about 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. And I'll tell about the story and how she created the wine and why she created the wine. She was really approachable. I mean, I didn't interview her per se. I just saw the interviews. So I don't want you to think that I'm having them on by any means. I would love to. Just popping that out to the universe.
Put it out there.
Yeah, just putting it out there. I would love to interview Sarah Jessica Parker and drink wine with her. But we took a little spin on it. We tried to channel our inner Carrie Bradshaw. And so we did that. My next one coming up is going to be with a wine from John Legend, the singer-songwriter. So that's going to be my upcoming celebrity wine tasting video. I believe that's happening next Thursday, but I will be popping some posts up about that.
Okay, so we could just follow you on Instagram, What's Wine Is Yours, and get the details there.
Yes, absolutely.
So you have a really fun quote. So as we wrap up, I found this on your website, and I think it makes perfect sense, right? Like you said earlier, wine doesn't have to be snobby. And so I'm going to quote you here, and it is the most important thing that you need to know about the wine that is in your glass is whether you like it or not.
Right?
Yes.
That's it. That is it. If you don't like it, you pop open another bottle. If you like it, you pour another glass. Right?
Oh my gosh.
I
Yeah.
can bring the information to you and I can bring the fun to you, but that's the most important thing. That
Oh my gosh. This has been such a fun interview. I mean, gosh, who doesn't love wine, you know? I cannot wait till we can meet in person someday soon. I think we're getting closer to this pandemic being over. I'm going to manifest that and put that out there.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Well, thank you, Patty. This has been fantastic.
Gosh, everyone, thank you again for watching. Please, if you can, start a watch party so we can get this message out, give other the courage to go out and follow their dreams, find a career that's fulfilling, and just do what you love to do and make money doing it.
Yes.
You know, what more could you ask for than that? Health and happiness, of course, but yeah, to be able to do what you love is it really is achievable and obtainable. And so I want to go out and encourage everyone to follow your dreams and to go out and do something gutsy today.
Yes, absolutely. And have fun doing it.
Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. And I can't wait to see you soon. Have a great day.
Cheers.